On June 14th, around 8 p.m., 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Ohio County, West Virginia, according to Ohio County Emergency Management Director Lou Vargo. He states that almost immediately 911 started receiving calls for help. There were many areas of destruction and damage in and around the city of Wheeling area. This footage documents just one of those areas, a few mile stretch of Route 40 from near the PA state line down through Valley Grove and Triadelphia to the Elm Grove area of Wheeling. This parallels Little Wheeling Creek to its confluence with Wheeling Creek. If you go to usgs.gov, you can see what a massive increase in the flow we received in the area. There's one gauge in the watershed that's on Wheeling Creek. Now the creek that we're following is Little Wheeling Creek. So it's kind of, you're unable to determine exactly which creek brought in most of the water, but by looking at the area, you can tell that it all came from Little Creek and its tributaries. Wheeling Creek itself, you'll see later in the video, stayed fairly green. It was full, but it wasn't overrunning its surrounding communities where Little Creek and its tributaries were, or Little Wheeling Creek. So you can see 8:45 p.m. the gauge showed just a little over 3 feet, a little over 300 cubic feet of water per second, which is not really that much in terms of rivers and creeks. It can be depending on the gradient, but this particular creek is not that steep, so it's not that fast of a flow. By 10:30 p.m., less than 2 hours later, we're at almost 10 feet, 9.9, or 12,600 cubic feet of water per second in this tiny little creek. And you're going to see the damage it caused as it rolled down through there. For comparison, if any of you have ever been to the Gauley River in the fall, the standard release is around 3,000 CFS, cubic feet of water per second. Of course, that river can hold that amount of water plus a lot more. Unfortunately, these little creeks we have here in the Wheeling area are just not big enough to contain that amount of water, and of course it spills out over the banks. In some places you're going to see damage from over 100 yards away from the stream. All right, if we go to Google Earth, get an overview of the Wheeling area, the terrain, and the route that I filmed. You can see Wheeling, the city, the surrounding area is all part of the Wheeling area. We are in the Ohio Valley, and if we drop down here, you can see Wheeling, the Woodsdale area, back up here to Elm Grove area. Now this is Wheeling Creek coming in over here. This area over this way wasn't affected that much, and Little Wheeling Creek coming in from the top here, flowing southwest down to Wheeling Creek. The confluence is right here in the Elm Grove area of Wheeling, and we're gonna look back up at Little Wheeling Creek. This is Route 40 and Little Wheeling Creek. You can see it goes up through Triadelphia. The little area of Valley Grove is here as well, and you can see the terrain is starting to get a little mountainous through here. This is a little gorge that Little Wheeling Creek runs through. And let's go to the 3D mode. You can see right over here in the PA border, it's all gentle, flat, not much to it. Almost immediately when we cross into the West Virginia border, we start with some mountainous terrain. I don't know exactly how high these hills are. They're probably a few hundred feet, but they are steep enough that with this wet spring we've had, it wouldn't have taken much rain to create this event that we have just experienced. Mr. Vargo said National Weather Service said 2.5 to 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time. When I look through USGS and Weather Service, I don't see that. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but regardless, it wouldn't have taken much. We've had a really wet spring here. Without looking at data, it just seems like every day it's been overcast and rainy for quite a while. That being said, if these hills are saturated, they're not going to hold any water, and it would just take a little bit of rain to come through. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people said they don't recall very much rain at all on Saturday. I know, just living a few miles from here, we had rain in the morning. By mid to late morning, it was gone. It was partly overcast, sunny, and later on in the evening it clouded back up, and around 8 that thunderstorm moved through and dumped what rain it had out here, and that was it. In that short amount of time, it just rolled off these mountainsides down into the stream beds. And you can see the gorge here for Little Wheeling Creek, and we have all these little side gorges coming down. All these roads that come down to Route 40, they generally follow smaller micro streams, little streams. All these areas got hit too, and you can see it makes its way on down to the city, down past the shopping center of Respecs. We have an intersection here, Route 70 coming across Route 40, and this is the Elm Grove area. This is again the confluence of Little Wheeling Creek and Wheeling Creek. And then we move on down. You can see the terrain's a lot flatter here, but at this point we have 12,000 cubic feet of water per second rolling down through town, wiping everything out in the way. On down here to the Woodsdale area, and on the north side of Woodsdale, we go out up into the Oglebay Park area and eventually up into the Bethany area. And you can see all this drainage is coming down, and it's going to come down into Woodsdale and meet Wheeling Creek, and a lot of areas in Woodsdale were flooded as well. All these towns where you see these little gorges, these hillsides with roadways and streams, they were a lot of the places affected. And again, we're just going to concentrate on Route 40 and Little Wheeling Creek. Unfortunately, at the time of this recording this voiceover, which is Monday morning, we now have 5 confirmed deaths from the floods. Others are still missing, and search and recovery efforts are underway by our local heroes, law enforcement, the Ohio County Sheriff's Department, Wheeling Police Department, many local volunteer fire departments, Wheeling Fire Department. Let's say a prayer for all those involved and all those helping out. This footage was taken the next morning at 7 a.m. on. I decided to try to document the damage, create a lasting document of the destruction, and make something that could possibly help the community out, raise awareness. So I don't run a monetized YouTube channel. I'm not receiving any money for this. If the residents, law enforcement, anybody that wants to use this video, feel free. If it can help you somehow, that's the point of it. By the time I got to my turnaround point, which was just a few miles up the road on 40 near the PA state line, and turned around, I had originally planned to do a drive-through and film, then a flyover with a drone. By the time I started coming back, there was already a lot of traffic coming into the area. A lot of people were coming in to see the damage to their homes, probably retrieve stuff, and EMS crews and law enforcement were starting to increase. So it seemed like, we probably shouldn't be up in there. We're going to hinder rescue and recovery. So We just have the drive-through, and then I film with the drone the creek and the road as it makes its way down to Wheeling. And you can see where we've already come. The road is torn up. It's missing in places. The pavement's ripped out. We have fences down, homes moved, debris everywhere, autos all over the place. This is Roney's Point on the left, back up to the Highlands area if you're not from around here. And it looks like smooth sailing for a little bit here. We don't see too much damage just cruising through. I'm sure there is some. A lot of this debris is from destroyed property as well as vegetation ripped down from the little side streams. And you can see we just crossed the bridge. The creek is going to be on our left side now. But still, this water came all the way across the roadway. Not too bad in this little stretch. And we have some trailers here. Luckily, they're on the inside of the bend, and the elevation is high enough here they weren't washed away. But right here, as you see, it straightens out this big broad area. Again, water all the way across to the right. And if you look over here, these storage buildings, the doors all blown out from the force of the water. Metal wrapped around poles, and I'm still wondering how those campers are still there. That's amazing. Hi, County Sheriff. More pavement ripped up. You can see that parking lot's destroyed on the right. We are starting to see more traffic than when I came in. A few mile stretch I drove on the way in, so it didn't take that long, maybe 15 minutes from the Middle Creek garage area up to where I turned around. And again, luckily these trailers on the left are up on a berm. Got some water pooling up here. Four-wheeler flipped over. And these areas with water, there's a couple of them that I drive through here. Obviously, you shouldn't be driving through flooded waterways. You don't know if you're going to drop off into something. On the way in, I was behind somebody, and I knew the route was clear that I was going through. It looks like we're getting more deputies up in here. I haven't seen Wheeling Fire or Wheeling PD yet. I know they were here all night in the area, as well as other rescue crews. So, and a lot of them are still out there. There's probably a lull, and they're gonna have men and women back out here doing search and rescue. And we're starting to see more traffic probably from people that live here. surveying the scene, the damage to their property, maybe, you know, trying to salvage what they can. Start clearing their property. The creek is back off to the right, fairly good ways, and still it came up here into the roadway. See more stuff up on end, more sheds up on end. Pontoon boat tossed around there to the right. Side of a building ripped out or pushed out from the water. You get a bunch of debris wrapped up around the telephone pole here. And more debris and a vehicle tossed around. And another bridge. The creek is going to be back on our left now. Can see some lights down here. More walls pushed over. Even though a lot of these houses are still standing in this area, they probably suffered significant water damage, the majority of them. If you're seeing the water pulled up on the road like this. More cars tossed around. And we're coming into the Philadelphia area. You're going to see the roadway start to go down in elevation. It's going to unfortunately be closer to the creek, and the creek's off to our left. When it gets down by Blyphus where that yellow sign is, it takes a 45-degree turn right into the roadway where there's a retaining wall, and that has become unstable. The water pounded that area. You can see the cars coming over toward my side of the road, probably trying to stay away from that unstable section of roadway, which again is right in the turn that the creek runs right into. You'll see the roadway dropping off here in a second. And there you can see it's falling away. That's all going to have to be rebuilt. This roadway is going to be closed down soon. Another container out in the road tossed around. Another pontoon boat moved. Roadway upended. Telephone pole snapped in half but still hanging there. And we're getting closer to the Elm Grove area of Wheeling. Before we get there, this is Middle Creek Garage. What a mess. Huge piles of debris, and it looks like somebody worked through the night to get this cleared out. You can see the huge piles on each side of the road here. Waiting for the deputy. And I had already decided, but at this point we're going to pull over, and instead of driving back up and trying to fly the drone down the whole thing, just going to get out and film back down towards town with the drone. There's too much traffic, and I'm sure we're going to start seeing rescue teams up in the area. Another muddy pit, homes ruined. And now we're up in the air, back up the direction we just came. You can see that huge mud pit with containers, I guess shipping containers, just moved all around. Flying back down towards Blyphus, you can see their yellow sign at the top of the screen. And off to the left, it looks like we have some structures moved. We have the creek coming in, and it's making that sharp right-hand turn right towards the roadway. You can see about a 45-degree angle. And it just came across the road. It's wrecked the road right there. You saw that from the car view. And I assume that's one of Middle Creek salvage yards off to the left, Middle Creek garages. And if you look to the right, you see water all the way back to those houses on the right. Debris, the top right corner, there's a huge pile of debris pushed into homes, it looks like. Got a better view of that unstable road area. This all happened so fast. These people were, I bet many were caught completely unaware. And I think part of that was, like I said, there wasn't a lot of rain through the day. At least on the other side of the city where I live, there wasn't. I don't believe there was over here either. Here's an aerial view of the creek coming up to Middle Creek Garage. And those huge piles of debris that people out last night were able to clear. Middle Creek's just cars tossed around in their salvage yard area. More debris. And Middle Creek Road coming in here on the left. We'll fly down that way a little bit. Wow. Big U-Hauls tossed around. More cars. This is still Little Wheeling Creek right here in front of us, Middle Creek Road. Going over it, I believe that's the name, Middle Creek Road. Going back up into Middle Creek, and Middle Creek itself off to the right. You can see it flooded. There are a lot of houses on this road just out of view, up around the bend, down close to the water level. And you can see it moves stuff around up there as well. Washed a container in a car down to the bridge going over Middle Creek. There's a little neighborhood off to the left. We'll fly up that way. And so Middle Creek's right behind us, and Little Wheeling Creek is just off to the right here. But it looks like these guys were high enough. Luckily, they were not affected. But as you can see off to the right, it's not the case. It's a huge muddy pit out here. All these homes are going to be wrecked from the water damage and sludge and mud. We got some cars down in the creek here. Take a little flyby. Wow. And it looks like they were just rolled end over end and every which way down the creek. The damage that you see. And debris up in the trees, probably at least 5 or 6 feet higher than the level we're flying this at. Oh, another car submerged. Wow. And another home that didn't make it. Back up behind us, you can see this little neighborhood is just still has pools of water and sludge everywhere. And off to the left, Middle Creek Garage. I believe. And we'll fly on down. That's the home we just saw destroyed from ground level. Making our way down the road in the creek. Off to the right, the Subaru dealership. And they sit right on the corner where Peters Creek comes in. I believe that's Peters Creek. It comes into Little Wheeling Creek here. The Subaru dealership on the right, and then we have homes starting again that abut the Respect Shopping Center parking lot. With the debris up here, I'm sure this house probably got some water inside. You can see mud on the street there as well. And the houses in front of us just fared worse. There's still water and sludge sitting on the yards and road here. House destroyed there on the right, moved off its foundation. Wow. And as I came down here, it looks like emergency management has set up a command post in the Respecs parking lot and have trailers loaded for swift water rescue. They're probably getting ready to head up into the area we just came from. Another car. Wow. Another house destroyed. And we're just behind the Respecs parking lot now. Some structure here behind the bank that sits at the parking lot. And we'll go over here to the neighborhood off to the right of the parking lot, the right side of the creek. These homes we're first flying over should be okay. They're elevated fairly well away from the creek. But the farther down we go, the closer the roadway and the homes get. You'll see it's covered again with mud, and just here in a few homes it's up in the yardways, so I'm sure it was up in the houses. And as you can see, it's getting worse until we have water still standing and more sludge. Back up to the Respecs parking lot again to fly down the creek. You can see there's some two vehicles right there saved by the trees from going out into the creek. More debris. Some type of little boat. We're going to go ahead and fly on down to the bridge here. Crosses the neighborhood we just flew over to the subway and Marathon. Wow, more containers, and unfortunately another vehicle wrapped around the pylons of this bridge. I'd never filmed somebody that had passed away in this condition, but unfortunately we did have people pass away in their vehicles during this flood. We have an uprooted tree, some spectators. Power line crew. Seen a few of their trucks out today. We're going to go ahead and fly on downstream, show you the back side of the bridge here where the car and containers are wrapped. Make our way to the confluence of Little Wheeling Creek and Wheeling Creek. Upstream we have Route 70 passing overhead, or downstream rather. And we're gonna take a look up here in the parking lot of West Banco. It's a four-way intersection. The bank sits off the corner of the intersection. You can see Wheeling Creek over there. Little Wheeling on our left going down to join it, and this parking lot is a muddy mess. just like everything else in the area. Let's go ahead and fly down to the confluence. Out front and just to the left of the bank is this bridge. Recently redone. And there's Wheeling Creek, nice and green. After the confluence, we're officially in Wheeling Creek, and you can see the flood just dropped stuff off down here. More cars just rolled like marbles through the stream bed. Six cars right here. I haven't really been keeping track. I've known there are cars all over. I've been told that there are cars registered to Triadelphia addresses that have been discovered a few miles downstream of this location. Unfortunately, my battery started to die here, and then it did start a little bit of rain again, so I couldn't continue. But I think at this point, we've probably seen enough.